24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salam Radio.
Hello, hi, good evening. This is Iram Shah, your host on Winning Women on Salam Radio 106.2 FM this evening. How are you all? This is a show where we bring to you trailblazing women every fortnight, and I bring a new guest to you today. So today I've got with me a local lady, Nazreen Bibi. I would love for you to, if you're listening for the first time, do get involved by telling me that you're listening in. If you're on the Facebook live stream, you can comment below. If you're on YouTube, you could hear us, but I can't see your comments. If you're listening on the website, it's salamradio.co.uk. And if you're listening on your car radio, it will be 106.2 FM. So do get involved. We have with us Nazreen Bibi, who's a founder of Alpha Autism Care Limited. This is a care company specialising in, I'm going to let Nazreen fill that in. Hello, welcome Nazreen. No problem at all.
So Alpha Autism Care. Childcare, parent carer, peer-to-peer support, employment support. And hopefully in the future it will be accommodation as well. So we're a newish type company, but we're very much focused on supporting autistic people and improving their quality of life.
Lovely. Nazreen, so we may repeat this a little bit later on just in case somebody didn't catch that because we left the... so we'll catch that again. So if you didn't catch that, we'll just repeat that for us. Please again, Nazreen, would you? Sorry.
So thank you for having me on the show. So Alpha Autism Care is a company that specialises in providing a range of services for autistic people, including social care, including childcare, respite, peer-to-peer parent carer support, employment support, and we're hoping to expand our services to hopefully accommodation in the future.
Lovely. And Nazreen, what has attracted you to the care profession?
Oh gosh, it's a huge life story. It's a huge life story. So I guess I was a young mum at 17, 18. My firstborn is profoundly autistic, and I guess it was the lack of understanding of autism, not just other people, from myself as well. I had no idea what autism was when she was diagnosed. So I think I went about trying to learn more about it so that I can help her. And since then, it's just become a complete and utter obsession. And I guess part of the journey has been that it's having a sense of purpose. I guess for me is to make sure that autistic people get what they deserve like the rest of us. And so I've enjoyed the journey so far, and it felt like there was a huge gap in service provision. My background's in mental health nursing, and I realised that there was a gap, and we needed to be talking more about autism. But yeah, so in terms of social care, many social care companies literally just talk about the broad service provision they have available for the elderly, and for adults with mental illnesses, but actually nobody really talks about autism. So I think for me there was a gap in the market that needed to be filled.
And I think, Nazreen, you've raised something very important. There are so many people in the community that probably still don't understand exactly what autism is. So would you just be able to explain what it is that what autism is?
So autism is a neurodevelopmental condition. There's an awful lot around the language and terminology that we use. So some people see it as a condition, others see it as a difference, and some people see it as a disability. It's a broad spectrum. Mainly sort of the features that are more prominent in autism is the communication, the social engagement, and the repetitive behaviours. But actually it's far more complex than that. So each individual you come across will present very differently, purely because we as human beings have an essence that's different. Each one of us has an essence that's different, I guess. Autism is a and there's a spectrum. And you can have other comorbid conditions that come with it, so anxiety, mental illness, physical health, so epilepsy, learning disabilities. So each person you come across will be different.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you've said that, because that's exactly what my thoughts were. What exactly is it? Because as we were driving to the show with the children in the car, I said to them, I was saying to them, I think it's a disability, and then you've just mentioned there are so many different ways to phrase it. And is there a particular stigma attached to, especially, the show's based here in Peterborough, is there some little stigma between the Asian community?
I think the Asian community, as a community, we've come a long, long way. 10 years ago, I used to mention the word autism and people used to be like, well, what's that? 10 years on, I feel like more and more people are talking about autism, more and more people are aware of what it is. It's the challenge around describing autism is that it is a spectrum disorder, and you can't, there's no expert in the field, so whoever claims to be an expert, they're wrong. There's no such a thing as an expert in autism, because you only know what you've worked with, and that's it. And so I'm always learning, I'm forever learning, and I think in the Asian community the challenges you have is that mental illness is a stigma, and anybody that behaves differently to the norm is always seen as weird or different and treated very differently. Unless you fit in that nice little box, whether you're a woman or a man, so long as you fit in that nice little box, then that's perfect. As soon as you don't fit in that box, then you're an outsider. And especially, if you've got learning disabilities, learning difficulties, you're neurodivergent or you're autistic or you have a mental illness, you are then someone who needs either looking after or something needs to be done to them, so medication or what have you. And actually there is still an element of shame in it.
Yes.
So I've come across families where it's actually, it's better to stay at home. We can't possibly take them out because what would so-and-so say? What would so-and-so auntie say?
Such as social gatherings, do you mean?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
But even outside, we can't possibly be seen with a support worker because, what would so-and-so say? I'm of the view we need to celebrate people with disabilities. They should be part and parcel of the community. It's part of our faith. We're supposed to, they are the closest to our maker, the bottom line they are. And so part of our faith is to look after these people. So I get very, very frustrated when I hear people say that. And I just think, actually, hang on, you've got all the attire, you've got the headscarf, you've got the mashallah, inshallah, but you haven't quite sussed it out that these people are the closest to the maker, and if we don't look after these guys, then really doing our faith any justice. But there is stigma, but we are getting better at it. But I think we in all fairness, there is a broader, wider discussion to be had again about racism, about ableism, and if there's the intersectionality between race and disability, suddenly you are at a disadvantage. So I know all families who have not had the right support, and you just think, why aren't they getting it? If there were a white middle class family out there somewhere, they would be getting a full package. But if they're a Pakistani family in Millfield, the assumption is they'll have extended family supporting them, and they somehow slip through the net, and you just think, well, how is it that this family here, mum has schizophrenia, child is profoundly autistic, partner's left, so she's on her own. Why is she not getting that full package that family over there is getting? Why is that happening? And I guess part of it is that our community is not reflected in the professions. The professions that are supposed to be helping us, so social workers, mental health nurses. When you go out there and you look at those professions, we're quite outnumbered. And I guess we have a question to ask, so why aren't we going out there and choosing these professions so that we can help our communities? And there's a question to be asked about people in power, I guess, is why aren't they doing enough? Why is there such an inequality within health and social care? But those are broader things that need to be addressed. But I think by far things have come a long way from, 20 years ago when I first started, or when my daughter was first diagnosed.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Nazreen, I think some of, and you've just touched on this a bit, how we need to have more people in our sector. So one of the things I want to talk about later on in the show is how people can get involved in these sectors. And I think it would be great for us to talk about that. But in the first part of the show, if we sort of explain what autism is, some of the challenges. I think also people are unclear as to whether it's hereditary, or whether it's just been picked up or you're born with it. Do you think that's some of the things that are holding people back, because you feel as if there could be shame in families?
I mean, there's no known cause for autism, and I think that doesn't help. That makes things a lot harder, because you want the answers, don't you?
Yes.
And I think part of my own personal journey was that somehow it was my fault that I didn't breastfeed her, therefore it must be something I've done. And used to hear a lot of these comments, we don't have anybody like that in our family.
Yes.
And you just think, well, and then you could sort of pinpoint family members and you say, well, actually, that person wasn't quite,
We always do that, yes.
Yeah, so, but I think that the not knowing is the bit that you think, oh, was it something we did? Was it something really as minor as, did I not take folic acid? Did I not do this? Was it the delivery that caused it? There is some evidence that's probably in the family history. If you looked at it, there are people who are neurodiverse, but there isn't any, that the evidence isn't there to support any of that. So I think it's something that just happens, and I think part of accepting that is that it's something that's just happened. I mean, the MMR vaccine saga was one thing to go by on, when people was like, oh, it must be causing autism, but you think you'd much rather your child had measles. Like, that doesn't quite tally up. But the need to know is quite distressing for a lot of people. And then I think that there's folks like us, after a period of time, we just think, actually, I wouldn't change her. She wouldn't be my child if she was a different person now. She just wouldn't be the child that I've loved. So the cause of it is really out there. That nobody's actually ever got to the bottom of what causes autism.
Great, thank you, Nasri, for explaining that. Now, if you're listening on the Facebook live stream, you can comment below. Today really is about educating ourselves, even myself, on autism and all the various different neurodiversity patients that Nasreen has talked about, and we're going to get to know a little bit more about the work she's doing in the community, and hopefully how everyone can get involved in this sort of work as well. Some of the we talked about helping people in Peterborough in particular. What services do you provide in Peterborough when you do help people here?
So we offer a range of services. We do things like filling in forms, so that could be your PIT form for your child or for yourself. We do a lot of advocacy, so if you're in a meeting and you're struggling with There to support you there, we support people via there to complete their EHCPs. We provide childcare. I think that's one thing I'm really, really proud of, is that we've managed to get the right staff in to support families when they've needed it the most. I've gone down the route of finding social care for clients. But childcare is the most important thing. To see children grow and get that intervention in place at the earliest opportunity is the most important thing, because the moment you realise something isn't quite going the way it should go, then actually we need to put an intervention in place. And I think for me that's been the best thing about it. I mean, we offer picture exchange communication systems, hackathons, social stories. We offer opportunities for children to interact with other children who are autistic. So that's social interaction, building up confidence, tackling anxiety, but that parent peer-to-peer support, which is something I've always been very keen on doing, is supporting other parents through that journey, because it's a isolating journey to go through. It's not normal parenting. It's very different from normal parenting. But we've supported autistic adults in employment. That's something we're absolutely passionate about, is getting more employers on board to then support autistic adults to get themselves into employment, so that they are independently living and contributing to society. But for autistic adults like my daughter, who are profoundly autistic, to get the right support in place, so that staff working with them have a full understanding of their needs and how to develop their independence. And part of my major role has been, for the past 15, 20 years, has been about campaigning for better services. But Alpha Autism Care as a whole is all about providing the support for autistic adults and children when they need it the most.
And that's quite a broad age range, isn't it? It comes with a huge amount of different experiences. And so when we talk about adults, have they normally been diagnosed early on, or are they new diagnoses? It's
a mixed picture. I mean, if there's obvious features there, I mean, some children are diagnosed at 18 months and you know that it's there. It's definitely obvious and it's there. Adults are diagnosed with autism during adulthood, where it's been missed in their earlier years, because it's a spectrum. And the spectrum isn't that you've got the profound end and this end and the it's not that. It's literally that your needs are so varied. It's a complex thing to describe. So, but yeah, we have adults who can talk, who can verbalise, but actually they can't communicate. They don't quite understand the social cues. You might have non-verbal adults who can understand everything that's being said to them, but just can't articulate it back. But then you might have profoundly autistic people who simply just don't have the capacity to understand complex language, and therefore you simplify it and you focus on that. So yeah, it's broad. It's very, very broad, and I think that's where, for me, Alpha Autism Care as a company, as a service, our challenge has been to define what it is that we actually do. But I think in a nutshell, it is we're there to meet the needs as and when they arise and as and when they're put in front of us.
And Nazreen, if an adult is listening to this now and thinking that actually they are autistic and they'd like for their employer to be a little bit more understand this, what would you say to them?
Get in touch with us. Get in touch with us. So our contact number is 01733 963 210. Our email address is info@alphaautismcare.co.uk. Just get in touch. Give us a call, and we will try where we can to either advocate on your behalf or just get your employer to have a better understanding of autism. So where we can, we will always be helping.
And you do some work with nurseries as well, don't you, with the schools?
Yes,
and
yes.
So for teachers listening and even parents listening and thinking, actually, would like some support, what would you say to them?
So we've done talk shows at schools, Docksett Primary School. We more than happy to come out and do group sessions, do one-to-one sessions. But if there is a parent out there who's sat there thinking, do you know what, I really can't cope, I'm really struggling, it's just a case of picking the phone up and speaking to us. The childcare is there, but even just being able to talk to someone about your bad day helps. But nurseries, schools, if you have a child that you just think, actually, we could be doing a little bit more here. We've worked with a nursery on Eastville Road, Harpeats childminding service, where we went in and we supported a child in terms of this is how we can create an environment that'll be beneficial for the child, and it worked. So yeah, we're more than happy to work with anybody out there, organisation, individuals. If there is an autistic person involved or a family involved, we're more than happy to work with them.
And does it matter if there's just one child? Because I know we were just discussing in the car with the children, they remember having someone in their year and the child actually had to leave the school because the school was not so well equipped with. Does that happen? It
happens all the time. It happens all the time. I think it's a cliche, and I think people hear it all the time. Our parents say, it's a battle, it's a fight, it's a constant fight. I think it's the difficulty you have is that schools need to have the right skills and the right resources, but often if the environment isn't the right place for that child, then actually sometimes moving out to a different school is the best option for the child. So it's based on individual cases. So you will find all sorts of things happening in schools where possibly the environment isn't right or the education isn't right for the child, but often you might find that actually the school hasn't been able to explore the options that were there already. So we're more than happy to go in and discuss things.
Yeah, and if you're enjoying this show, please do comment below on the Facebook live stream. We'd love for you to get involved. Ask your questions around autism, around Nazreen's care company called Alpha Autism, and tell us your experiences, some of the challenges you've had, so that we can answer them as well. Nazreen, for you to help such a huge range of people, from children to adults, what is your background? What skills do you think is so unique about what you're bringing in?
So I guess it's been 24 years of lived experience. So I think for me, the passion has to be there. You have to enjoy what you're doing. So like I said, there's no such thing as an expert, so I don't claim to be an expert in the field. I think what I bring to it is my commitment, my commitment to it. So I'm very tenacious in my approach, and have to be. If you're a single parent, you have to be tenacious. You have to find a solution. So it's that. And I think if I look back in terms of growing as an individual, as a person, as that young girl at 16 who couldn't quite say boo to a sheep, to sort of growing and developing, I've only got my daughter to be thankful to, and her autism diagnosis. So I think as my professional background, I've worked in health and social care for 20 odd years now, whether that be as a teaching assistant or a healthcare assistant or as a mental health nurse. That's been my profession. It's what I've done. But I think my main attribute, shall I say, is that I'm driven by making a world a better place. And it's personal, I guess. It's a better place for my daughter, but people like her. So the drive, the passion, the commitment to it. And I guess I should just carry on. I will carry on plodding along and doing the same thing until something happens. But I think for me, that Alpha Autism Care, I do call it my fifth baby, and that is because it does what it says on the tin, is that we are there to help people. We're there to work with the local authorities. We're there to work with the NHS. There's a huge gap in service provision. As a mental health nurse, where you don't have a pathway for autistic adults who are anxious, who have an additional mental health need. I just believe that we need to be doing more.
And actually, Nasreen, the way you've described the work that you're doing, some of the in the community, I think it's coming across as quite a varied job. It's not something, I'm saying it's a job, but for you it's like a way of life because you're so committed to it. But it seems like you're going to get different patients with different needs, different ways of approaching it, and then. Is that right? Absolutely. I think for me the aim is that we want to see autistic people part of the community. I mean, the Winterbourne crisis, if you look back, it wasn't just one case. It happened again and then again and again. People like my daughter at the highest, they're at risk of abuse and ill treatment. They really are, because they really can't protect themselves. So to me, it's a must that it has to happen. But it is a complex way of working, and I think over the years I've managed to sort of find a way, be it campaigning politically, be it setting up the company, be it constantly working with any other organisation that whether it be Little Miracles, Family Voice, whether it be childminders, whether it be schools, working with anybody to actually get the work done for that family or that individual. And I do it directly as well. If somebody came to me tomorrow and said, you know what, Naz, I need that form filling in, I'm more than happy to do it. It's not a problem. I think it's challenging, but the main focus is that we need to walk into town and see autistic people and people with learning disabilities. We need to be able to see, we should be able to go to a park and see a wheelchair accessible swing. It should be normal. It should be absolutely normal to see changing places, toilets in every building, so that you're able to, if you've got a wheelchair user or if you're a wheelchair user yourself and you need to use the toilet like the rest of us, to be able to go there and do it in a dignified way. So to me, that is a constant thing, and it can take years. Would take a lifetime, but it doesn't matter, because like you said, this is a life choice for me. I do it because it's what I need to do. Yes, and I love the variety the work brings. Different people, different work. And is it self-referral? So we're a private company. I think the challenge I've had is that if always said this to people, if the NHS came up tomorrow and said, Nas, we need to make this something that it's a public service, Happy Days will be doing it. If the local authority came up to me and said, we need to make it a public service, Happy Days will be doing it. The challenge is that it's not happening. So for me, this was a solution. So we're a private company. If you have direct payments from the local authority and you're getting, 4 hours, 5 hours, just give us a call, and you've got an autistic young person, we'll take it on and start looking after your young person. If you're looking for employment, there's no cost to you, so we will support you free of charge. We will get that job done. We'll try looking for a job for you, or we will set you up as self-employed. But yeah, we're a private company. It had to be set up in a way that allowed me the freedom to be able to do the work that I needed to do. Yes. And that's partly my personal traits rather than anything else, is that I don't like being told what to do. I like to do it myself. So I think for me, it allows us the freedom to do the work we need to do. Yes, I love that. I think because otherwise you've got the flexibility to work with whoever you like. All the companies, you're not, which is great. Now, I think this is such a good show. If we've got a really good company that you've set up here. If you're listening online, if you're feeling like, okay, this is something that really resonates with you, you've got some challenges, do let Nasreen know. Nasreen, if you just give those contact details again. Yes, it's Alpha Autism Care Limited. Contact number is 017 963 210. The email address is info@alphaautismcare.co.uk. And one of the things I've noticed, Nasreen, is quite your website says this as well. It's quite a holistic and practical approach that you follow. Just tell us a little bit more about this.
So I'm a very pragmatic person, and I genuinely believe that service provision should be person-centred, and that's the NHS narrative, that's the local authority narrative, is that you need to be able to be holistic in your approach and look at the individual in front of you. So our services are just that. So if somebody came to us, I mean, we've got a client who's in employment at the moment, and we had the company approach us, and we've supported the client at work. And the idea is that they're able to remain working for as long as possible. And part of that was training the rest of the staff and getting them to understand why the individual does what they do and how they do it. And so it is a very broad, holistic approach to the way we work. And you can't just have one what am I thinking of? You can't just have one rule fits everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. So whoever comes to us, they're an individual. They've got an essence of their own, and therefore we need to work with that. And they need to work with us, and it's vice versa. So it's really, really broad. The work we do is a huge umbrella.
Yeah,
really.
Thank you, Nasreen. We're going on a short break soon, but when we come back, we're going to explain how you can get involved in the sector. So far, we've talked about what autism is, how Nasreen's helping people in the community. So do enjoy join us after the short break. See you soon.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Are you looking for a career where you can make a difference? At Cross Keys Homes, we work with our local communities to create opportunities that change lives. We're looking for enthusiastic, talented people to join our team, from apprenticeships to senior management positions. Cross Keys Homes can support your development while you enjoy great employee benefits. There are so many opportunities for you to shine. Apply to join the Cross Keys Homes team at crosskeyshomes.co.uk.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers, and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Worried your tenants could stop paying their rent during this cost of living crisis? Next Move Estate and Letting Agents are offering landlords 12 months rent in advance. You'll get your rent paid for the whole year in advance. No strings attached. Too good to be true? It really is that simple. So get in touch with us today for this extremely limited offer. Call Next Move now on 01733 641 642 to find out how we can help.
You could be driving, you might be cooking, you could even be working. But whatever you're doing, you're also listening to Salam Radio. And if you're in business, your potential new customers could be listening too. So talk to them and let them know what you have to offer. Advertising on Salam Radio is affordable and effective. And by doing so, you're also supporting this valuable and important voice within the community. Call 07866 319 679 or find Salam Radio online and across social media.
In the heart of Peterborough, this is Salam Radio.
Hello, hi, this is Iram Shah. Hello, this is Iram Shah, your host on Salam Radio 106.2 FM. You are listening to the Winning Women Show. This is a show that champions trailblazing women. Every fortnight, I bring to you a new guest to you. And today I have with me Nasreen Bibi, who's in the studio. She's a founder of a local care company called Alpha Autism Care Limited, which she's explained what the premise of her company is, what it does. So do listen back if you've only just joined. If you're listening on the Facebook live stream, you can comment below and I can pick up your comments here in the studio. And if you've got any questions, any challenges, anything like that, then please do let us know. So Nasreen, we were talked about what autism is, how you're helping people in the community. I really would like to touch on some of the challenges you've experienced in your running your company.
Oh goodness, I guess as women, we do this in addition to our job, don't we? Our main job, that's bringing up the children, dropping the kids off, picking them up, and all that kind of stuff. I guess as a parent carer, you have that additional job, don't you, of medication, pads, reviews, and all of that kind of meeting on top. My challenge has been finding a balance, getting that balance right. So work is important, but actually I need to focus on the kids as well. Setting up a business has been, I guess, as a single mum working as a nurse, that the funds have never quite been there for me to go ahead and do the big things that I really want to be doing. So it was a case of let me do it small scale and let me build it up. And I guess one of the big challenges has been navigating different systems and people. And I guess part of that has been, challenging the stereotypes that somehow, the image of someone who's running a business has to be this suited, mooted male. But no, I think for me it's getting that balance right, that it's not a race, it's a marathon, and actually if you're doing those small things and they're making a difference, then that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. But I think recruitment in terms of operational, in terms of sort of pragmatic, real stuff, is recruitment is a challenge in social care. I think the industry as a whole is just totally focused on elderly care. And that spreads across local authorities, government and the NHS, is that the focus is on elderly care. Dementia is actually a very small percentage of elderly people develop dementia, but it's still a big, big thing. And part of it is political, because actually that is the age group, their children who are in their 50s and 60s are the people that are voting. But also because people like my daughter are a very small percentage of the population, and therefore it's like easier to just overlook that sometimes. But actually they're the ones that get abused in hospitals, in private hospitals. They're the ones that are at risk of being abused and treated very, very badly. So I guess my massive challenge has been is changing that narrative. So, I could have just gone out there and set up a yet another care company saying, I cater for everyone. I'm master of none, but I cater for everyone. I think I preferred being master of one and saying, actually, I want to be focused on this, and there's a reason behind it. I mean, only recently somebody came along to me with a questionnaire from the local authority that they'd received this funding, whether it was CCJ or local authority, and it was, we've got this survey and want to find out, and we want to signpost the clients. The whole survey was tailored towards elderly care, and what they were suggesting was, age concern. It was tailored towards elderly care, and I sat there thinking, well, this has got nothing to do with my daughter. You're not talking about my daughter, are you? So what's the point? So I guess part of the challenges as a company, the rationale for developing the company, the rationale for it to being around and me going on and on about it, is that care companies must specialise in what they're doing. That anybody can get up and set up a care company and say, here we are, but we cover mental illness, we cover dementia, but yeah, I did a few shifts as a support worker, but now I know everything. think that is what's saturating the market at the moment. Is
So they need to niche down, you mean? Yeah.
Absolutely, because what I personally want to be seeing is care companies that say we specialise in dementia, we specialise in mental illness, and we specialise in autism, because that is when our issues around recruitment will be addressed. Because at the moment, social care is just desperate. It's just desperate. You know, we will recruit anybody and everybody just to come along and say, look, come and do a few shifts. It's desperation. You know, care packages are going back to the local authority because we can't fill them. Essentially, families at the end of that are left with no care, and that's just not acceptable. So I think my challenge as a company owner, like anybody else, is finance, it's funding, it's clients, it's recruiting staff, and it's trying to survive. But I think in terms of the rationale behind it is that we will always be around, because what we really want to say is that you need to specialise in what we're delivering, and we need to advocate for autistic people a little bit more in social care.
So for someone listening right now and really, you know, it's got a good understanding now of what you're doing, and they want to help, what sort of skills doesn't one need in order to come into this field of work?
The desire to gain experience. That's all we ask for. It's somebody who wants to be able to come in and gain as much experience as you possibly can gain from it. I think one of the things that's a real challenge is coming in with this sort of preconceived idea of what autism is. You know, it's really, you just need to delete that, just erase it from your mind. Actually come in with an open mind, and come in with this idea that you don't know anything about autism, you're just going to learn, because only then will you be able to work with people. I think the desire to develop a career in it is a real must, because it's more than just changing paths. It's more than just, you know, here kind of thing. Actually, it's about how you communicate. So learning Makaton, you know, PECS, sign language, understanding social stories, understanding easy read documents, and genuinely understanding what is it that I'm here for. So I'm here to get this person to live the best life they can, but I want them to do as much as they can rather than me doing it for them. And that's, I think social care at the moment it's just at a crisis point, to be honest, because we just don't have enough people coming into the profession. But the profession isn't respected enough. It's not valued enough. You know, it's seen as just their job to do. What we really need to make it is make it into a profession.
So Peter, so when you've said that you'd this could help you gain experience as a stepping stone to what exactly?
So I think I'd like to think into nursing, into teaching, into Senko, into, you know, teaching assistant work. But I think seeing it as a stepping stone has become the issue, if that makes sense. So I think for me that has been an issue for a long time. So yes, you can go on to do X, Y, Z, but actually you can go on to become a really good community support worker. You know, you can go on to do that and make a difference to people's lives. I think where we need to start advocating for people who will come into the profession to work as a community support worker, you know, is that we need to value them and pay them more.
Yes.
We need to, the pay needs to reflect what they're doing. The training needs to be of good quality. But I think to see it as a stepping stone I think for me it's a disadvantage.
Yeah.
You can't see it as an in-between, because I think that's partly what causes the problems, and what has caused the problems in the past is that what we want to see is people are coming in because they want to be support worker, they want to learn Makaton, they want to learn visual aids, they want to be able to work with autistic people in the community, and hopefully one day run their own service and deliver their own service. That to me is having that ambition in you. But actually see it as a valued profession, because that's exactly what it is. It makes a huge difference.
And what sort of training do you provide for somebody who would start this and looking to take this long term as a community?
So we offer mandatory training, but in addition to that, we offer training in Makaton, we offer training in PECS, we offer additional training in epilepsy. So and I think our training is very much a person-centred type approach to it. So it's not a case of ticking those boxes and printing those certificates. It's a case of, we have an individual who has an additional diagnosis of, I don't know, schizophrenia, should we say, but let's get the training in. Let's do that face-to-face training in schizophrenia. Let's do that face-to-face training in medication. But I think for us, what makes it different, I guess, working for a company that's focused on autism and learning disabilities is the exposure. because all your clients will be autistic. Therefore, you have that exposure to learn as much as you can from the people, because you learn the most when you're working with people. You learn a little bit when you're on the computer. You learn a little bit more when you're doing it face to face.
It's very hands-on.
But you learn the most when you're working with people.
Yeah, out in the field. And how long can a training? How long is a training?
Training is as long as you make it. So it can take you 6 months. It could take you 3 months to complete that training. And for us, it's an ongoing thing. So we offer supervision. We offer the additional training. But for us, training is an ongoing process. So we identify gaps in learning, and we'll go and find something that will fill those gaps in.
And do you are the candidates, are they paid as they are training?
Yes, absolutely.
This is a great career opportunity for somebody who wants to, because actually the way you've explained it, I mean, years ago I wanted to be a teacher because I loved, and I actually also wanted to be a doctor, so I didn't quite meet the medical grades, and I felt as if the only career left for me is maybe teaching, which is nothing wrong with it, but I just didn't know anything in between. Yeah. So this is really great, isn't it? That, this is a way of helping. I knew I wanted to help people, but I just didn't know how. Yeah. So if anyone's listening in and really in crossways and thinking like what career path to follow, just a conversation would really help. But I'd love, Nasreen, for you to share how people can get in touch with you.
So it's Alpha Autism Care. Our contact number is 01733 963 210. The email address is info@alphaautismcare.co.uk.
Yeah, and some of the professional development qualification things, what kind of qualifications can you end up with after your training?
So it's PECs, social stories. To be honest, it's like I said, the value's in the experience. So the more you work with autistic people, and often I think you can have a folder full of certificates, but you actually don't have the attributes to be able to engage with the person in front of you. So I think for me, the most important thing is that you have this sort of open-minded approach to work, and you're able to look at the person in front of you and actually feel their essence as a human being, and then look at the labels and everything else that's been put on them, but actually get to understand the person in front of you. I think nothing compares to that. So no amount of certificates and no amount of paperwork will actually, it doesn't come anywhere near that one-to-one, just spending time with that person and getting to know them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you've said that you also would love the idea of others starting up a care company as well. Tell me a little bit more how you'd help somebody do that.
I think that for me, as an Asian female, I've always kind of felt that we have certain barriers that we need to overcome, whether that be in our professional working life or whether that be politically or wherever we are, we have our certain barriers that we need to address. But I think if anybody wants to go out there and think, do you know what, I'd like to set up my own business, but you have to gain the experience. The experience has to be there. I think get the experience, get yourself all set so that you're able to focus on committing yourself to setting something up. Because we need it. I think the more, and I think although I said, yes, it's a saturated market, but actually if we had people going out there and saying, do you know what, I'm absolutely passionate about learning disabilities, I'm absolutely passionate about autism, and I'm absolutely passionate about mental health. I can do it differently than what somebody else is doing. Let me set this up. What it does, and I think for me, I've always had this sort of hybrid thing going on where my hat's fallen off. So, sometimes I've got my parent carer hat on and I'm thinking, actually, do you know what, a bit more choice would be nice sometimes. If I'm looking for a service for my daughter, a bit more choice would be good. But with my professional hat on, I think actually, autistic individuals are entitled to that. If I'm going shopping and I like to shop around lots of shops and know exactly what I'm buying, that's a well-informed decision. But if I'm out there and all I'm being told is, well, this is it, that's your lot, it doesn't really give me much of a choice. It doesn't really improve quality in any way. So I think if there's anybody out there that's thinking, do you know what, actually, I could do that, let me set it up, then they need to just go for it. And if they're looking for some mentoring, just give us a call. Although, I have to admit I haven't quite achieved what I would like to achieve yet, but the journey it's been there and you've got something to learn from that. So no, if anybody wants to go out there and think, you know what, let me set it up myself, gain that experience first, go out there and work with autistic people first, and then start thinking about where's the gaps and what can we do to fill those gaps in.
And Nazreen, because you've mentioned your daughter being autistic, what wisdom would you give to somebody who wants to come into this career, but is also thinking how easy is it going to be for them to switch off as well? So how do you do that?
It's not easy. No. You don't switch off. It's not easy. No. I think for me that balance has been really difficult to achieve. It's been really, really difficult, and I don't think you switch off, and I don't think it's for everyone. I think knowing your own limits, that's really important. Knowing where your cut-off point is, it's really, really important. So I think for me, again, with all the different hats on, I want to see better services out there for autistic people. And so if somebody came along and said, you know what, I'm going to set my own company, whatever we can do, whatever I can do in whatever capacity, of course, I'll be more than happy to help, because that's beneficial for people like my daughter. But I think in terms of switching off, it's a case of knowing where your limit is. And that's for all parent carers. And I think it's really important that people out there understand that parent caring is different from normal parenting. And when normal, I say normal parents, but when parents come to you and say, oh my God, my children, it's school half term, that parent carer that's sort of sitting there thinking they probably haven't slept for days and days. And there's a quote on social media that I saw recently, and I share it over and over again. And when somebody says, imagine that tiredness when you have a newborn baby or that toddler, but imagine that doing that for 20 odd years, because that's exactly what it's like when you have an adult child who is almost a toddler, that they need that level of care, and that's exhausting. And so I guess if you're then doing more on top of that, it's really knowing when enough is enough, and then when to take a break and when to take time off and say, actually, I need to switch off now and start looking after myself. So I think anybody out there who's a parent carer, because their skills are valuable. Yes. So I think recognising, even employers, when I talk to employers, I say, well, actually, that person out there that's got lived experience, or that parent carer out there, the skill set they're bringing in, single parents like yourself and like myself, the skill set we have in terms of managing our time, in terms of managing our resources, in terms of prioritising things, in terms of multitasking, being tenacious, finding the solution, the bills have got to be paid, how are we going to do it? But we've got to spend time with the kids as well. Those are skills that are really valuable in work, no matter what work you do. They're really valuable. Parent carers, in addition to that, they know the epilepsy medication off the back of their head. They know what the side effects are. They know how to manage seizures when they happen. They know how to. That emotional resilience is there. The working under pressure, the getting the job done. Those skills are of value. So when, to me, if a parent carer was to come in and said, do you know what, I really want to set up a business, I get really excited, because I think, do you know what, you probably have all the skills needed. It's just a case of getting your confidence out there and saying, let us try it, let us do something.
And Nazreen, I came in the studio very flustered. I'm like with 3 kids. Someone's had an argument. Someone's hurt themselves. And you've got a very nice, sort of cool, calm composure. So what is it? What do you do on challenging days to help you get through these,
That's been a journey as well. Yeah. That's been a bit of a learning curve. So I think for me, the bad days are bad days, aren't they? And you have to find a way to go through them, but nothing lasts forever. So although it's cliched, I think your bad days aren't going to last forever. And your good days don't last forever. So it's a case of just taking it as it comes. And I think, what's written for you will come for you, and what's going to happen to you is going to happen anyway, isn't it? It's there. So I think for me, it's what I can control, I control quite rigorously, quite religiously, I control that. What I can't control, there's no point in me faffing about it. But I think it's, like I said before, it's knowing where your limits are, knowing what is the point where you hit where you think, actually, I need to take a break. But no, I think single parents, parent carers, what they bring to the workplace is something amazing. And especially, I just think Asian ladies, Pakistani ladies in particular, it's about building your confidence and your self-esteem up, and trying to say, well, actually, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it.
Yes. And I would especially say, people, women in Peterborough as well. I mean, this show is for you. It's Winning Women. It's a show that showcases, founders of local businesses. And I'm loving that. I think there has been some reluctancy for people to come out, and, some are shy, some are worried about judgment. But it's really nice for you to come into the studio, and hopefully you'll share your experiences and tell people, actually, I'm quite friendly as well. And, and it's really important because when people see this, I think it encourages others, doesn't it? We're thinking of running a business. We're both single moms. We've got children. You're equally a parent and carer as well, like you've described yourself. But like you said, we bring so much, so many skills.
I think the challenge is the conditioning, isn't it? I think like most Pakistani women, there's this whole sort of conditioning that happens at really its early stages. You will fit neatly into this box. Yeah. You will be humble and you will be this and you'll be that. And yet, in stark contrast, when you look at the male population, it's almost like, business is part of this is what we do, But actually, the women are conditioned to behave a certain way. I have no issues with sitting here saying, actually, I've done very, very well, thank you very much. And I know I've done very well, but I don't need the validation. Equally, I feel like if there was a young girl out there, 16, 17, 18, sort of doubting themselves and thinking, I don't know, shall I just get married to that cousin back home? There is stuff you can do. There's things you can do. Yeah. And I think for me, it's really important that we start to sort of demolish those boxes, those sort of neat boxes that people want to fit you in. And it's a case of saying, actually, I'll make my own box and I'll sit in it quite comfortably. I'll lay in it, I'll stand in it, I'll do whatever I want, but I'll make my own box. But I think that there is this whole conditioning around. We mustn't be seen to be speaking our mind. We mustn't be seen to be talking to people or saying it how it is. And somehow that is respectable and that is, remain humble. But you think, actually, if you've gone out there, I know of ladies that are running cafes, you think that's amazing. I know of ladies that are selling amazing clothes. I know ladies that are cooking, making cakes. These ladies are running a business on top of doing their full-time job that is looking after the kids and the extended family. Celebrating those women is really important. And I find it really frustrating because I just think, that gentleman out there who's out there giving food to the poor or the homeless, great, fantastic. But actually, you've got a wife at home that's looking after your kids and getting the food ready and looking after the rest of the family. She's the one that should be getting the validation. She's the one that's actually running your household for you whilst you're out there doing the stuff that you're doing. But I think, it's really important that Pakistani women are celebrated because there's a lot of talent out there. And a lot of tenacious women who actually earn a living still whilst conforming to what their culture and what their families want them to do, which is stay at home and have the children, baking a cake, doing balloon decorations. Wow, that's clever. Yeah, that's really clever.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting some of those cultural ideas and that we've grown up with. But I feel as if it really, for me, it started with deciding, first making a choice that this is not what I want. So I think that's where it starts from. Is that where it stemmed from you? I wanted to make a difference, and that's it. And I didn't have the whole path mapped out, but I had decided that actually I don't want this, and I'm just going to take the next one step. That was it. Absolutely. And that taking that one next step, then you find actually it starts opening doors and opportunities, and you get a little bit more bolder, a little bit more confident, and then you think, okay, this is going well, and you're still going to get some resistance. There's resistance to your mindset, and there's people around you, but that's what I would really encourage people to do. And is that how it was when you started? Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, if it scares you, do it. Because that's the way you're going to learn the most. That's when you're going to grow the most. But I think for me, yes, it's those small steps. It's trying to say, actually, I don't want this. This isn't for me. Yeah. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be told what to wear and how to behave, how to talk, and all the rest of it. I want to do what I want to do. And I think once you make that decision, it's like, actually, the world is your oyster, isn't it? It's like, I could do whatever. Yeah. I could do whatever.
You feel very liberated, actually.
It is the most liberating thing. Yeah. It's like absolutely amazing. And I think for me, working for somebody it felt the same as where I was many years ago and saying, actually, I don't want this, and I think for me it was like, I don't want the politics, I don't want the discrimination, I actually don't want to be told what to do. If I'm saying there's a gap here, why not create a service? If I'm a mental health nurse, I'm in a mental health team, I'm saying, well, why aren't autistic people receiving this separate service? Because their needs are somewhat different, but we don't have that training. And I'm being told, well, actually, now the funding isn't there, or it has to go through that manager, or that manager. It's like, actually, no, I don't want this. Let me just go and do it myself and let me just make it happen. But no, you're absolutely right. The moment you say, actually, this isn't for me, But I think it doesn't have to be all or everything. You know, it has to. If you're happy where you are, actually you're happy. You know, you've got a lovely marriage, lovely extended family. You've got the children. You've got the security. But actually, you yearn for that little bit more. As in, what are you going to do when the kids get older? Or actually, I want to bring in that little bit of extra cash, or do something that makes me feel like me again. And albeit making cakes, I just think, I look at some of the ladies and I think, wow, like that is awesome. You know, albeit if it is selling clothes or whatever it is that you're doing, it's still a business, and it's still something you're doing in addition to looking after your family.
Yes.
You know, and that's amazing.
It gives you inner confidence.
Absolutely.
So it definitely starts with pursuing your own passion, something you're passionate about, and that's exactly how you started your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, if you're passionate about something and something gives you pleasure and it gives you a purpose. But I often feel really sad because I just think there's so many ladies out there who have so much talent, whether it be writing, whether it be, you know, speaking, or whether it be, I don't know, I'm just thinking about all sorts of things here. If only they had the confidence to say, do you know what, I can write, let me just write something.
So what would your advice be in our last few 30 seconds?
Just do it. Just do it. You know, what's the worst that's going to happen? You know, a few people are going to talk about you, but guess what? Those few people will talk about you anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so do it. Yeah, because life is just too short, isn't it?
And push past the fears, guys. This is, I really hope that you've been inspired by Nazreen. Thank you so much for coming to the studio. It's been so nice to have you here.
No, thank you for
and
having me.
again, if people want to follow you, they can find you on
Facebook,
yep, so you can find you there. Do listen back to the show as well if you've only just joined in. Thank you so much, and see you again. This was Winning Women on Salam Radio 106.2 FM. Thank you for your company.